Good day, everyone. This is Jennifer J. Dos Santos, your reporter for today, and my topic is about government expenditure. As defined, government expenditure is the expenses incurred by the government para sa kanyang maintenance, preservation, and welfare of the economy as a whole. In other words, it refers to the expenses of public authorities para sa satisfaction of collective needs of the citizen or for promotion of economic and social welfare. And this happens through the development of education, public health, social security ng ating mga roads, buildings, and irrigation and others. And government expenditure can be financed by the taxes, government borrowing, custom duties, the sale or lease of natural resources, at pati na rin yung pag-collect ng various fees like national park entry fees or licensing fees. At para ma-achieve yung goal of government expenditure, merong dalawang types of government expenditure. Number one is the current operating expenditure, and the second one is the capital outlays expenditure. Kung saan ang current operating expenditure, this includes the personal services katulad na lang ng salaries and wages, social security and contribution, overtime pay, and others. Included din dito yung maintenance and other operating expenditures like traveling expenses, supplies and materials, water illumination and power services, yung bayad sa rent at iba pa. Interest payments, allotments para sa local government units, and subsidies para sa government-owned and controlled corporations. So, the second one is the capital outlays. So, appropriations spent for the purchase of goods and services. So, the benefits of this capital outlays extend beyond the fiscal year at which add to the assets of government, including yung investments sa capital stock of government-owned or controlled and their subsidiaries. So the capital outlays of the national government is broadly classified to this. So number one is the infrastructure outlays. This refers to the disbursement of funds for the construction of various basic public works of the country, such as yung roads, ports, airports, yan, water supply, irrigation, and other capital investment. So the benefits of which extend to the general public. So next one is the equity contribution to government corporations. So investment of, this refers to the investment of national government in the authorized capital stock of government-owned or controlled corporations. So the purpose of this is to secure the ownership of these GOCCs. The next one is the capital transfers to LGUs. Particular na dyan yung internal revenue allotment or the ERA that is being used by the LGUs for the development of their projects. Other capital outlays like land acquisition and land improvement and others. So another spending of the government is what we call the government interest payments. Of course, we all know that our country has utang, and these interest payments represent the cost of borrowed funds which form part and parcel of the cost of the items financed by the loan. Interest payments are therefore considered as the real expense item in the budget. Our national government also allocate budget to different sectors. Number one na dyan is yung allocation for the social service. So ano ba to? This include po yung education, yung culture, and manpower development, health services, andyan din yung social security, yung welfare and employment, kasama na rin dyan yung housing and community development and land distribution. Another one is the provision for economic services. This includes yung communications, roads and transportation facilities, agriculture, agrarian reform and natural resources. Andyan din yung water resource development and food control, trade industry, power and energy, and tourism. Another one is the expenditures for defense. Of course, this is very important, no? To ensure the national security, stability, and peace, which are indispensable to economic growth and development. And general public services. These expenditures spent for general administration, such as general government stipulation, fiscal affairs, foreign affairs, and international commitments, katulad na rin din ng electoral audit. This also includes the public order and safety, including various functions pertaining to law enforcement, maintenance of public order, and safety and political administration. So since we talk about the expenditures, it is also vital for us to learn the canons or principle of public expenditure. So this is the fundamental rules which govern the public expenditure policy of the government. So the method and direction in which the public expenditure utilized is of paramount importance. Further, Alfred G. Bolcher, a professor of the public finance in Wharton School of Finance and Commerce at the University of Pennsylvania, made some guidelines para sa utilization of expenditures by the public authorities. So number one, sabi niya, public expenditure should promote the welfare of the society. The other one is careful judgment should be exercised by the public authority and the electorate to ensure that the advantages of the public expenditure should exceed the costs, and the fund utilized by the government will be more conducive to social welfare than the same funds would. So, meaning, should be benefits versus the cost. Diyan din yung public expenditure should be utilized in the order of priority of welfare. That is, the services which will bring about maximum welfare should be undertaken first. In addition, Professor Findlay Shiras, a professor of economics at Dhaka College in India, has explained several canons of public expenditure. So, number one na dyan is the canon of benefit. So, sabi niya, the ideal of this is a maximum social advantage, meaning the expenditure should be for the greater good for everyone. Canon of economy, the state should economical in spending of money. Should not spend more than the necessary amount on items of expenditure. The aim po is to avoid extravagance at pati na yung corruption. Canon of sanction. According to this canon, no expenditure shall be incurred without the proper approval of the sanctioning authority. It means that any expenditure shall be approved by the head of agency. Canon of productivity. She said that public expenditure should promote production and increase the working efficiency of the people. So, ang aim nito should be maximum production, employment, and income. Next one is the canon of elasticity. There should be flexibility in government expenditure. Katulad na lang ng ginawa ng government natin during yung outbreak ng COVID-19. Hindi ho ba? So, the government may be able to change its public expenditure policy with changing conditions. So, it means that public expenditure should increase during periods of emergency and reduce during normalcy. So next one is the canon of equality. This implies that public expenditure should be incurred in such a way that inequality in the distribution of income should be reduced. The benefit of public expenditure should confer more on the poorer section of society, meaning the poorest of the poor shall be given much priority that intend to alleviate poverty at all costs. So the Commission on Audit is the primary responsible in ensuring proper government expenditures. In fact, it has the power, authority, and duty to examine, na mag-audit, mag-settle ng accounts pertaining sa revenue and receipts of and expenditures or uses of funds and property owned or held in trust by or pertaining to the government or any of its subdivisions, agencies, or instrumentalities, including yung government-owned or controlled corporation with original charters and on a post-audit basis. So this is the COA circular number 2012-001 prescribing the revised guidelines and documentary requirements for common government transactions. So this circular includes the usual government expenditures which has appropriated with a certain budget and includes the proper disbursement of public expenditures. So this circular provides guidelines in disbursement, uh, fund transfers to NGOs and POs, fund salary, allowances, honoraria, and other forms of compensation. So you can download this circular in the official website of Commission on Audit. So another one is the Republic Act 9184, also known as the Government Procurement Reform Act. This was signed by the former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on January 10, 2003 and was published noong January 11, 2003. This act providing for the modernization, standardization, and regulation of the procurement activities of the government and for other purposes. Note that lahat ng agencies of the government shall strictly adhere to the provision of RA 9184. Its implementing rules and regulations, pati na yung Government Procurement Policy Board guidelines sa procurement of goods, infrastructure, projects, and consulting services. So lahat yan, lahat ng procurement ng national government, pati ng department, ng mga bureaus, lahat ng offices, agencies, kasama na din yung state, universities, and colleges, GOCC, yan, Government Financial Institution, LGUs, ay lahat tayo ay governed by this principle. So you can get a copy of this RA 9184 in the official Gazette website. Moreover, according to the Presidential Decree number 1445 or the State Audit Code of the Philippines, section number 33, prevention of irregular, unnecessary, excessive, or extravagant expenditures of funds or uses of property, power to disallow such expenditures. So the Commission or the Commission on Audit shall promulgate such auditing and accounting rules and regulations as shall prevent irregular, unnecessary, excessive, or extravagant expenditures or uses of government funds or property. So ano po ba itong irregular, unnecessary, excessive, or extravagant expenditures na ito na tinutukoy sa PD number 1445? So let us explain. So irregular expenditures, these are the expenditure incurred without adhering to established rules, regulations, procedural guidelines, policies, principles or practices that have gained recognition in laws. So, ibig sabihin, if it's contrary to the rules and regulations of the government, then it becomes irregular expenditures. So, these expenditures are transactions conducted in a manner that deviates or it violates or did not comply with the government standard being set, then it become irregular expenditures. Next one is the unnecessary expenditures. Ito yung mga expenditure that could not pass the test of prudence or the diligence of a good father of a family, thereby denoting non-responsiveness to the exigence of the service. This expenditure is not essential or that which can be dispensed with or without loss or damage to property. Meaning, hindi siya essential. Example, yung pabalik-balik na repair ng equipment or pag-hire ng consultant na ang function naman is redundant na kaya namang gawin ng isang permanent na empleyado or yung pagpe-purchase ng luxurious gadgets na gagamitin sa office. So, another naman is yung overtime na hindi naman urgent. Yun yung mga hindi naman kailangan. So, another one is the excessive expenditures. Ito yung mga unreasonable expense or expenses incurred at an immoderate quantity and exorbitant price. So, ito yung mga expenses na nag-i-exceed what is usual or proper as well as expenses which are unreasonably high and beyond just measure or amount. Example is yung overpricing of purchases or granting of cash advance in excess of estimated budget. So, disbursement that are beyond normal. Ito yung mga excessive expenditures. Yung dinadagdagan yung mga presyo from normal na price. Yan. Yan yung mga excessive expenditures. Next one naman is the extravagant expenditures. So, these are the expenditures that are immoderate, lavish, or grossly excessive. Grossly means sobra pa sa sobra. Example, yung magkoconduct kayo ng conference na kailangan pa ninyo is pumunta sa 5-star hotel. Diba? Or mag-purchase ng very expensive decorative lamp or fixture sa office na hindi naman kailangan masyado. Diba? Na hindi naman kailangan bilhin para makatulong sa operation ng office ninyo. Yan yung mga extravagant expenditures. Next one is the unconscionable expenditures. Expenditure which are unreasonable and immoderate and which no man in his right sense would make, nor a fair and honest man would accept as reasonable. Those incurred in violation of ethical and moral standards. So, example is yung giving of unreasonable bonuses to public officials and employees na hindi naman nakasaad sa kahit anong batas. Ayan. Or granting unreasonable retirement benefits o yung tinatawag nilang pabaon. So, you can check about this irregular, unnecessary, excessive, extravagant, and unconscionable expenditures in the COA Circular Number 2012-003. So, moving on, based naman sa records ng Bureau of the Treasury, yung ating fiscal expenditure in the Philippines increased to 404 million in August from 395 million in July of 2022. So, there are causes for the increase of expenditure kasi. So, number one dyan is the welfare. Yan. So, the government have to create and undertake employment opportunities social security measures, and other welfare activities. So, these require enormous expenditure. Meron din sa defense. So, modern warfare is very expensive, lalo na sa panahon ngayon. So, wars and possibilities of wars have forced the nation to be always equipped with arms. Totoo yan. So, this causes great amount of public expenditure. Next one naman is the growth of democracy. The form of democratic government is highly expensive. The conduct yung mga elections, yan, maintenance of democratic institution like legislatures, etc. can cause great expenditure. Siyempre, andyan din yung growth of population. Tremendous growth of population necessitates enormous spending on the part of the modern government. For example, 'di ba, pag nag-grow yung population natin, syempre, mas maraming food ang kailangang i-provide, ang hospitals, 'di ba, yung roads and other amenities of life are need to be provided. And educational assistance, 'di ba? Rise in price level. Rises in prices have considerably enhanced public expenditure in recent years. So, higher prices mean higher spending on the part of the government on items like yung sa payment of salaries, purchase of goods and services, and so on. Development expenditure naman is for the implementing developmental programs like yung 5-year plans. Modern governments are incurring huge expenditure. Example niyan ngayon is yung mga build program ng ating bansa at yung iba pa. Next one is the public debt. So, along with debt rises the problem like payment of interest. Of course, pag may utang ka, may interest yan. And repayment of the principal amount. This results in an increase in public expenditure. And poverty alleviation programs. As poverty ratio is high, huge amount of expenditure is required for implementing alleviation programs. So, that ends na po yung aking presentation. Thank you so much and have a great day.